Tiny bits of code travel across the world on lines as thin as a strand of hair strung across the ocean floor. And the internet is made up of these tiny bits of code. In the time it takes you to read this word, the data will have traveled from New York to Sydney and from Hong Kong to London. Our insatiable demand for communication and entertainment has already resulted in about 750,000 miles of cable being laid around the globe to connect the continents. Companies have traditionally pooled their resources to work on underwater cable projects, treating them as if they were a road that they could all use. Google, on the other hand, is forging ahead with a first-of-its-kind initiative that will connect the United States to Chile, which is home to the company's largest data center in Latin America. According to Jane Stowell, who manages building of Google's undersea cable projects, people believe that data is stored on the cloud, but that is not the case. It's in the middle of the ocean. Getting it there is a meticulous and time-consuming process that takes a long time. The cable will eventually be delivered to sea by a ship dubbed Durable, which is 456 feet in length. But first, the cable is produced in a large factory in Newington, New Hampshire, just a few hundred yards away from the assembly line. It is filled with specialized machinery, which is owned by the business Subcom, that is used to maintain tension in the wire and enclose it in a protective skin. The cables start out as a tangle of strands of microscopic threads of glass fibers strung together. Using fiber optic technology, lasers push data down the threads at speeds that are close to the speed of light. After arriving on land and connecting with an existing network, the data required to read an email or access a web page is transferred to the person's device over the internet. While the majority of us today access the internet mostly through Wi-Fi and phone data plans, such systems eventually connect with real cables that quickly transport information across continents or across seas. A high-speed mill the size of a jet engine runs the wires through, encasing the wire in a copper casing that conducts energy over the line and keeps data flowing. Plastic, steel, and tar are then added to the cable depending on where it will be installed in order to assist it endure the unpredictable ocean circumstances. If all goes well, the cables will be the size of a thick garden hose when they are finished. Despite the fact that it takes a year to map out a cable path that avoids underwater risks, the wires must still endure strong currents as well as rock slides, earthquakes, and interference from fishing trawlers. Each cable is projected to survive up to 25 years under normal conditions. The cable is transported straight into Durable, which is docked in the Piscataqua River, by a conveyor system known as the Cable Highway by employees. When fully loaded, the ship will be able to transport more than 4,000 miles of cable weighing around 3,500 metric tons. Workers spool the cable into vast tanks on the ship's interior deck. One person walks the cable quickly in a circle as if laying out a giant garden hose, while others lie down to keep it in place so that it doesn't snag or knot. This is done to prevent the cable from tangling. However, even with teams working around the clock, it will take around 4 weeks for the ship to be fully laden with sufficient cable before it can depart for its voyage across the ocean. The first transatlantic cable, which connected the United States to the United Kingdom, was finished in 1858. The occasion was marked with the transmission of a message from Queen Victoria to President James Buchanan, which took 16 hours to complete. Despite the fact that new wireless and satellite technologies have been developed in the intervening decades, cables continue to be the fastest, most efficient, and least expensive method of transmitting information across the ocean. Yet the cost of the project in Chile remains a mystery. Experts estimate that a subsea cable project might cost up to $350 million, depending on the length of the cable involved. Although telecoms businesses install the majority of the cable in modern times, American technology titans have gradually gained increasing control over the cable network over the past decade. At least 14 cables have received support from Google in different parts of the world. According to Telegeography, a research organization, Amazon, Facebook, and Microsoft have invested in others, which will connect data centers across North America, South America, Asia, Europe, and Africa, among other places. Countries consider the undersea cables to be important infrastructure, and the projects have become flashpoints in geopolitical conflicts in the past. Last year, Australia intervened to prevent the Chinese technology firm Huawei from constructing a cable connecting Australia and the Solomon Islands, out of concern that it would provide the Chinese government with an entry point into its networks and communications infrastructure. Content providers such as Microsoft, Google, Facebook, and Amazon currently own or lease more than half of the undersea bandwidth available for lease or purchase. Ganduria, a ship captain, stated that one of his most essential jobs was to maintain the morale of his crew during the long periods at sea that they were on. The construction of the infrastructure that underpins our digital world is a time-consuming endeavor. The Durable can accommodate up to 80 crew members thanks to its 53 bedrooms and 60 bathrooms. It is decided that the crew will work 2 12-hour shifts. There are signs posted in the hallways reminding people to stay quiet since someone is usually sleeping. The ship will bring enough food and supplies to last at least 60 days, including approximately 200 loaves of bread, 100 gallons of milk, 500 cartons of a dozen eggs, 800 pounds of meat, 1,200 pounds of chicken, and 1,800 pounds of rice, among other provisions. In addition, there are 300 rolls of paper towels, 500 rolls of toilet paper, 700 bars of soap, and nearly 600 pounds of laundry detergent on the premises. There is no alcohol permitted on board. I still get seasick, said Walt Oswald, a technician who has worked on ships for the past 20 years, describing his experience. He places a little patch behind his ear to help keep the nausea at bay, and it works. It's not for everyone, says the author. It is unavoidable to have bad weather. As high as 20 feet in height, swells can be encountered, forcing the ship's captain to order the cutting of a subsea cable in order for the vessel to seek safer waters. Whenever the weather conditions improve, the ship returns to the area, retrieving the cut cable that had been left attached to a floating buoy and reassembling it before proceeding. The pace of work on board is sluggish and ponderous. In order to pull the cables from the gigantic basins out through ports in the ship's back, the ship must travel at a speed of approximately 6 miles per hour while at sea for months at a time. An underwater plow is used to bury the cable in the sea bottom closer to the shore, where there is a greater risk of damage to the cable. Following the completion of the Latin America project, Google plans to construct a new cable connecting Virginia and France, which is expected to be completed by 2020. The company currently has 13 data centers operational around the world, with an additional 8 under construction, all of which are required to power the trillions of Google searches conducted each year, as well as the more than 400 hours of video uploaded to YouTube every minute, among other things. It's like managing a really intricate multi-dimensional chessboard, said Miss Stowell, a Google engineer who wears an underwater wire around her neck as a necklace. As more organizations turn to cloud computing services, the need for subsea connections is expected to increase even further. Furthermore, technology that is predicted to emerge in the near future, such as more sophisticated artificial intelligence and autonomous automobiles, will all necessitate rapid data speeds. Areas that previously did not have access to the internet are suddenly gaining it, with the United Nations announcing that for the first time, more than half of the world's population is now connected to the internet. This is a significant element of the infrastructure that is enabling that to happen, said Debbie Brask, Vice President of Subcom, who is in charge of the Google project management. Every bit of that data is being transmitted through the undersea cables. And with that being said, it's time to end our video. What's your take on this technology? Let us know in the comments. Like this video and make sure to subscribe to the channel for more amazing videos like this. We'll see you in the next video.